And we've got to thank God every minute of every day. Good morning, world. It is your guys. Not the two live stews, but one live stew and his right-hand man, Joe Hamilton, in the building. What up, Ham? Unmute your mic, Ham. Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic. Let me see if I can unmute that mic for you. Okay, I think I can. There you go. Okay, I should hear you now, Joe. Say something, Ham.
Yeah, checking in 1, 2, 3. Checking in 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
I'm saying something, Stu Dog.
My right-hand man, Joe Hamilton's in the building. Good morning to you, world. We got a quick Two Live Stews pop-up. I know we didn't play the pop-up open, but it's all good, man. I couldn't find it. The Two Live Stews open works. You look like you're looking for something, Joe. Tell me what's going on over there.
No, are you hearing me now? Am I cool?
You sound great. Yeah, you sound great.
Oh, okay. You didn't say thumbs up with the mic. You said unmute my mic. So go. Yes. Hey, listen, I want to start off by saying this, Stu.
Please.
I am thankful. I am very, very thankful for this platform, and I'm thankful for the good Lord. And here's why: to be able to share to the listeners, share to everybody what I love doing, what we love doing. Yeah. We would chop this up this way, football style, NFL scratching that itch about the headline topics about the NFL. Anyway, so to bring this happiness in this joyful time, to be able to do and show what we love to do, I have to say I'm grateful and I'm thankful, and I do not take it for granted, my brother. I do not.
Before I share you the T-shirt that I got on, man, because it's one of my favorites. It's just amazing how giddy you are and how happy you are. And the reason for that, well, of course, there's several reasons for that. But the reason that's being highlighted right now is because we're about to talk about football. Yes. And the last few weeks, there's been a few times I started to call you and I'd hold back. And this morning I was just like, oh, I got to call him. And then right before I called you, I said, well, let me check his schedule to see if I can call him via StreamYard so we can just do a show and talk about these sports. It's just a good feeling. I got goosebumps. Last week was preseason 1. We're about to go into preseason week 2. And it is amazing how having football back and being able to watch some football and being able to smell the grass when you go outside, it's just amazing how happy it can make a grown man feel.
It is amazing how you make me feel as far as watching SportsCenter, Get Up, whether it's anything.
Pause, Joe. Don't be talking to people about how I make you feel. Don't be doing that.
No Diddy. So and when you look at it, is that I look at those shows and I'm saying, hey man, me and Stu have just chopped that up, or me and Stu will talk about that, or we have just said the same opinions that they have. Yeah. It's just amazing that I'm like, hey, man, I should call this guy and get off of my chest what I need to get off of my chest, check his opinions out. Yep. Because what I love about it, more often than not, in the view of sports, in the view of football, we have the same opinions. You might bring something to the table and said, I've thought about this. What do you feel about that? We might disagree about philosophy and what a coach is thinking and some battles, but generally football is not going to change in our eyes. You know, we might see some things differently. So I just love chopping it up and hearing a different point of view. And this preseason, the storylines, the competition has been intriguing, brother. Let's jump straight into it. Your boy, One Live Stu, Ryan Stewart, Joe Hamilton, the Heisman Trophy winner himself, the Georgia Hall of Famer, the South Carolina Hall of Famer. He's in the doghouse hanging out on this Two Live Stews pop-up. We're going to hit a few things. We don't have a time limit. I don't want to waste anybody's time. To all the people in the chat, now that I mentioned the chat, that's a great reminder. Carrie Portis, appreciate you, man. Mulehouse, appreciate you, man. Marvin Childs, Terry Clark, appreciate you, Bill, for pulling up. Richard Bullock, thank you for being here, man. Marvin Childs, Ben Edwards, we appreciate y'all for being here. Pass the word, share, like, subscribe to the show. We will make sure, or I will try to make sure that I stay in the chat and make comments based upon what you guys are saying as well. Let's just start here, Joe, and be as long and or as brief as you'd like. But when I played
with the Detroit Lions decades ago, the team that we scrimmaged, and I do that in air quotes, the team that we scrimmaged with was the Carolina Panthers. One year they would come up to Saginaw Valley, which is where we did our training camp in Flint, Michigan. And then we would go down to Furman, where they did their camps down in South Carolina. It was a joint practice is the term that they use. I'm noticing now that joint practices are becoming dang near just as important as preseason games. Please share your thoughts on that. Am I off my rocker, or are we seeing all teams doing joint practices now with other teams at said facilities?
Yeah, we're seeing all teams do joint practices at said facilities, no doubt, Stu. And you're not off your rockers. Matter of fact, you're spot on, especially in terms of GMs being evaluating talent and head coaches evaluating talent. Here's the deal. This is why head coaches love this opportunity, and head coaches love this joint practice situation. I can get with this other head coach of the other team if we're good friends or we're not, and we can go over things that we want to be emphasized. We're going to run, or we're going to work all of our first down situations. At the -40, we're not backed up, we're not cross midfield, but we're going to run 1st and 10. No matter what happens on 1st and 10, we're going to bring that ball back again, and we're going to run again. 1st and 10.
Right.
We're going to do 15 to 20 minutes of 1st and 10. We're going to do red zone, 20 minutes of that. We're going to do backed up, which is called inside the 20 or inside the 10-yard line, and you need to get a first down to give your punter room enough to punt that football. All situational football that you can plan. And oh, by the way, you can make sure that you can work ones versus ones. You can make sure that you can get in the amount of work you need to get in for those guys to get evaluated. And as you do that, that's where a quarterback will be able to say, I don't need actual to where I fall down, because you are going to be in that pocket being able to maneuver.
Look like we may have lost Joe. Hold on 1 second. I'm sure he'll pop back up. One Live Stew, Ryan Stewart. Two Live Stews, Doug Stewart. Doug's not here. This is a Two Live Stews pop-up. Great time to remind you guys that tomorrow morning at 6:30 in the morning, Doug and I will be on the platform, YouTube, doing the show, the Two Live Stews Experience. You guys can join us. We do the meeting at 6:30. Do 30 minutes of programming, in essence, showing you guys how the sausage is made and what we're about to get into when we do the show from 7 to 10 a.m. Now, Monday show, we're going to be doing something different, and I'll explain that a little bit later to you. I think I got Joe back. Okay, Ham, you back?
Yes, I am back. Something went wrong. Poops. Yeah.
Pick up where you left off, sir.
Yeah, when the joint practices and those coaches are able to set the tempo and set the stage, it helps tremendously. Now, however, I read something very interesting this morning from a player's perspective. Okay. And that player was a former player, Hawkins, a wide receiver that played with the Cleveland Browns, and he was saying the players don't like it. The players don't like it as much, and I felt him, and this is why he said that, Stu. When you have joint practices, you normally play that same team. For instance, the Cleveland Browns are joint practicing now this week with the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
And they're going to play the Buffalo Bills in their preseason game. So now the player in Hawkins, the former player in Hawkins, is saying, in essence, we're having 3 preseason games that week. Because when you get the physicality of going 9-on-7, 11-on-11 against somebody else, you are trying to impress your GM. You're trying to impress your coach. So that pressure is just like a ball game that you're trying to have physical strength. You're exerting physical strength, one-on-one, leaning on each other. So that is taxing. And after 3 joint practices, now we're going up and playing the game. Very interesting. His take as a player's perspective is going joint practice as all the GMs and the coaches.
So my question to you is, the Cleveland Browns and the Buffalo Bills are having these joint practices right now.
Yes,
are they playing each other in the regular season, or are they playing each other this weekend coming up in the preseason?
this week up in the preseason.
Okay.
And that's why I'll bring a little bit news to your ears. What we talked about last week, you and I, about you don't care in terms of Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders and who's going to get the first team reps and who's going to start the first preseason game. And that was Deshaun Watson with the ones. Okay. And you said that doesn't matter. Next week, will Shedeur Sanders still get the first team reps with the ones when his turn is to start? Mm-hmm. Because we know this week against the Bills, Shedeur Sanders will start. Well, here I go with some news flash to you, Ryan Stewart. Coach Monken said yesterday or the day before.
New head coach for the Cleveland Browns.
Absolutely. He doesn't know if he's going to start the starters in this game against the Bills.
Here we go.
And to my point now, Stu, and here we go. And to my point, the reason why he said he doesn't know is because he's going to see how these joint practices go. Whether the starters need those reps in that preseason game, or do he like what they've done in these joint practices that he's seen enough? Right. Will that be a disadvantage to Shedeur Sanders? Not in the public view on nationally televised a game to say, man, I'm not getting the same chance Deshaun Watson, or can he do enough in the coach's eyes to close the gap that I think that Deshaun Watson has on him right now doing these joint practices?
Right. In the Doghouse with you guys, the Two Live Stews. This is a Two Live Stews pop-up. You mentioned Deshaun and Shedeur. Give me your take on Deshaun's preseason start number one and Shedeur's, first preseason number one game. Because, of course, as you just mentioned, Shedeur didn't start. Deshaun did. Shedeur may be starting, as you highlighted a second ago, in week 2. But give me your thoughts on how both of those guys played in game 1.
Deshaun Watson, to me, was lights out. And I'm going to take into account, and when I say lights out, I'm going to put that the guy hadn't been played tackle football in almost 2 years. The guy hadn't seen bullets flying and been on that turf as far as, guys around his feet, the Achilles that he tore twice, and just that angst or that nervousness about somebody falling on that leg again and being injured. His footwork, his release, his ability to be accurate with the football was very, very impressive. He didn't look at the rush. He didn't fear the rush. He was point on. And he's going to have those guys making a tough decision. If you don't have to think about the fan base, if you don't have to think about what he did as far as those masseuses or the massage ladies, Deshaun Watson looked really, really good. Now, that's going to be a factor, and the $240 guaranteed dollars that you guaranteed him, that's going to be a factor. But right now, he's the front runner right now. He's the leader in the clubhouse right now. I don't know what went on before the first preseason game. There were rumblings that Shedeur was a little bit ahead of him because he was there the whole entire offseason. He prepared in OTAs, first one in, last one out, and that's commendable. But now as you look at it, it seems that Deshaun Watson is a little bit more of, comfortable. And Shedeur Sanders, I wanted him to come into this season to speed up his game. And when I say speed up his game, Stu, I'm talking about knowing where to go post-snap. It's one thing for me to get in my mind that, hey, this is one high safety. This is cover 3, or maybe this is cover 2, and have that memory bank. But as we know, especially in the NFL, as soon as you say hut, those things, that normal alignment by the defense, they're going to shift. A safety's coming down, a linebacker's going to buzz out, a defensive lineman, they're going to stunt down. It's not going to be the same look. So his post-snap read is not quick enough for me right now. So you might say, Joe, man, what are you talking about? He was going with the seconds. I understand that. But I'm talking about knowing where you need to go with the ball, your second and third read, and if your first read is taken away, how quickly can you get to the other side of the football field and with your outlet. So Shedeur Sanders needs to speed his process up a little bit because, coming out of college and even last year, the scouting report that he holds on to the ball a little bit too long. Sometimes you can blame that on the offensive line or the wide receivers not getting open, but sometimes you can blame it on the quarterback not being able to diagnose the coverages post-snap.
Deshaun Watson went 11 for 15, 126 yards, had a completion percentage of 73. got sacked once and had one fumble. And Shedeur went 6 for 11, 79 yards, completion percentage of 54. He threw one interception, which wasn't good. But in my eyes, Joe, and tell me if I'm wrong with this, and you kind of alluded to it a second ago, I thought Deshaun did have a better game. I thought Deshaun's footwork, so his feet, and his throwing motion, to me, by the naked eye of a guy that wasn't a quarterback, it looked more pure and more in sync than Shedeur did back there. I'm not saying Shedeur looked bad, but in essence, even though Deshaun has missed a couple of years of play due to injury and other situations, it looked like he was the more polished guy that took the field for the Cleveland Browns. Do you agree?
I do agree. And I have the uncanny ability, Ryan Stewart, to compartmentalize outside things. So I'm not talking about the likes of Shedeur Sanders. I'm not talking about Deion's son. I'm not talking about, Deshaun Watson, what he's been through and his $240 million contract. I'm not talking about any of those things. I'm talking about a football quarterback, two quarterbacks battling for a job. And what I saw in this first preseason game is one quarterback looking smoother and more comfortable than the other. All right, because Shedeur Sanders on his turnover made the right read. All right, that is just a ball that got away with him, which you cannot do high over the middle of the field.
I was just about to say,
quarterbacks have that happen.
Don't talk it down, because you're right. That can't happen. He did do it, and that's something that will be frowned upon. I know it was the right read, but the right read with a bad throw still equaling an interception isn't good.
Isn't good in a quarterback competition. And on the flip side, whereas I have to judge Deshaun Watson's turnover and how that came about on a sack strip. Was that his fault that the offensive lineman got beat? No. But however, all our drills we work on as a quarterback in pre-practice and in individual drills, we're telling you to make sure you have 10 fingers on that football. Ball security in that pocket is very, very is at a premium. No doubt about it. So some of that goes on him for, not taking the sack might not be your fault, but dropping that ball. So both quarterbacks turn the ball over, what we can't have happen. However, one would be seen to be bigger than the other.
There were 2 interceptions thrown, and I do not want to overlook Dillon Gabriel and his contributions in that first game versus the Bears. He went 5 for 8, 62.5 completion percentage. He threw 1 interception, and he got sacked twice. No need to stay on this long, but is Dillon Gabriel even a part of the mix right now in Cleveland, Ohio? Is he being considered a guy that could possibly be the starting quarterback for this franchise, or is he simply just a quarterback that's on the roster?
Simply a quarterback that's on the roster, highly intelligent, highly successful college quarterback, but he doesn't have the skill set nor the body frame to be your 17-game starter in the NFL. Will he be able to have mop-up duty if somebody gets hurt 2 or 3 weeks, a sprained ankle, a bruised-up elbow, to where your starter will be back? Yes. But I look for Dillon Gabriel down in his career soon, or maybe later. Hopefully later he has a long 10-year career as a backup to be a coach somewhere. He just does not have the physical talent to compete with the guys that's 6'2", 215, 6'4", 230 in this NFL. He just can't, with an arm that's very, very average.
In the Doghouse with you guys, the Two Live Stews. I'm Ryan Stewart, One Live Stew, joined by the Heisman runner-up himself, Joe Hamilton. We're going to pay some bills real quick, and when we get back, I want to get Joe's perspective from a general manager's standpoint, okay? As a general manager and even as a coach, Joe, I want you to think about this before we go into the break. What is more important, your team having a number 1 offense or your team having a number 1 defense when it comes to winning a Super Bowl? You down with that? Yeah, okay. Keep it locked right there, Ham. Two Live Stews.
Oh, I am down with it, brother. No doubt.
Joe Ham and Ryan Stewart talking the football. Y'all keep it locked. Welcome back to you guys, the Two Live Stews. I'm One Live Stew, Ryan Stewart, joined by none other than the Hall of Famer himself, the great Joe Hamilton, in the building. Two Live Stews second annual cruise is going down. Shouts out to the great Hollywood, the cruise director. I don't know if you and the wife have plans for Valentine's Day, Joe. Valentine's Day just happens to fall on Super Bowl Sunday. Oh, I'm sorry. Super Bowl Sunday actually happens to fall on Valentine's Day this weekend. So we're gonna be
look at you, brother.
So we're gonna be on that boat, man, headed to the Bahamas and Coco Cay. Spend some time in Nassau. While wifey's gonna make the trip this year, so I'm taking her, and it's gonna be a good time. If you and Kenya got some space, man, and can make it happen, man, pull up on us. It's gonna be a real good time, man.
No doubt about it. It needs to be in the plans, needs to be in the work right as we speak now. No doubt about it. No, not two birds with one stone.
Two birds with one stone. Valentine's Day and Super Bowl. It's going to be a real good time had by all. What would you rather, Joe? We talked about it before we went into the break. Would you rather, as a GM or a head coach, a number one offense and a number one defense when it comes to winning the Super Bowl? Please share your thoughts.
Yeah, I've been watching football for the longest, all the way back to the Super Bowl. First one I can remember is the Bears versus the New England Patriots. Refrigerator Perry, Mike Singletary, 1985 Bears. And defense wins championships. There is no doubt about it. And I have seen to where defenses shut down number one offenses, a la the Legion of Boom doing their dance on the Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning. Even when we look at last year, they weren't the number one offense as far as the New England Patriots, but they were top five. They had the MVP, second runner-up in the MVP, and Drake May, and then Seattle Seahawks shut those guys completely down. And here's why. It's because when you have 2 weeks to prepare defensively, you have tendencies that offense gives you, and tendencies that offensive coordinators are not willing to come off of. If they have a body of work that led them to a Super Bowl 16, 17, 18, 19 games, they're not going to reinvent the wheel in 2 weeks, really in 1 week, because by the time you get down to the Super Bowl site, the hay's in the barn. You already have your game plan ready. You're just honing in and making sure it's almost like a perfect Thursday, that all the plays you've installed, you just want to execute and clean up the little nuances of what you're going to run. However, it's easy for me to implement a new kind of scheme defensively if I have the players. It's easier for me to adjust one player from another player to give you a wrinkle that you haven't quite studied when you study defensive film. And about the go-to guys, and why I bring up what I would rather have, it helps me go back to how I would rather build my team. I would rather build my team with, I'm taking defensive end, cornerback, and maybe the other defensive end before I take a quarterback, Ryan Stewart. That is what I am doing. I am taking a defensive end. I'm taking maybe a cornerback and maybe another defensive player like a Caleb Downs if he's all world. I'm not talking right now subpar players that I'm taking before a quarterback. I'm not saying that, just anybody. I'm saying generational talent that'll affect the way you play the game. Future Hall of Famers.
So you're not overlooking the prospect that is a can't miss quarterback for the defensive end or for that rushing linebacker, are you? You're not overlooking that player.
No. But I'm saying that also I have a can't miss defensive player as well. Okay. I have a can't miss corner, and I have a can't miss defensive end, and I have another can't miss defensive tackle maybe. I'm going there before I go quarterback as a GM. I am building my defense that way. And here's why, Stuart. Here's why. Sam Darnold wasn't to Seattle while they were building that team. He was not there.
Very good.
And I'm not saying Sam Darnold is a generational quarterback, but that is showing you that you don't need a generational quarterback. Hey, take a look at the Denver Broncos. Although Bo Nix got hurt last year.
Before you move to Denver, you're not overlooking the significance of Sam Darnold. You're not saying Sam Darnold isn't a good quarterback, are you?
No, I'm definitely not doing that. I'm saying there are priorities now that I look at it before a quarterback. There are priorities to me before the quarterback needs to be put in place. All right, what I was going to say to the Denver Broncos.
Bo Nix.
The Denver Broncos, they have Oh, they had a very good defense before Bo Nix came. They had they had Sutton, and they had some wide receivers in place. And then all of a sudden, Sean Payton unlocked, and he saw somebody in Bo Nix that you can sit down in that team and take them to the next level. How about the Philadelphia Eagles, Stu? Jalen Hurts was put in a situation where offensive line was already built. Jalen Hurts was put in a situation where that defense was very, very good. So now then I can put in the quarterback. Hey, I'm going to bring this back home to my point a little bit about the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons is somewhat set, Ryan. They're somewhat set. The way this team is being built, I really, really do love. Because now all of a sudden you can plug somebody in as a quarterback, a competent quarterback, and maybe go a little bit further than you trying to build quarterback first. Because look at offensively. You have every skill position you need, but you're searching for a quarterback. And I know that's a big, big step to say you don't have a quarterback. Whoa, whoa, whoa. But just watch yourself, because it was just shown to us how a Super Bowl can be won.
While we're on the heels of talking about quarterbacks, because there's several that I want to mention to you, and I want you to think about this before I ask this next question. So I'm going to make a comment to make you think about something I'm going to come to after I ask the next question. The comment before the question is, who were your favorite 3 preseason 1 quarterbacks last week? Who were your favorite 3 preseason 1 quarterbacks from last week? I wanted to give you a second to ponder that before asking you, when it comes to quarterbacks that have to have big years this year, who's those quarterbacks in your mind? Is it C.J. Stroud? Is it Bryce Young? Is it Justin Herbert? Or is it Lamar Jackson? Is it Josh? Is it Jared Goff? Is it Jalen Hurts? There's several quarterbacks that have had enormous success in this league, and there's several quarterbacks that haven't had enormous success that need enormous success as they're getting into year 3, year 4, year 5. So again, the question is, quarterbacks that have to have big years this year: C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Justin Herbert, or the list goes on and on. Please share your thoughts on that.
Whoa, it is outstanding. I don't want to necessarily give you 3 quarterbacks, top 3 that I was very, very impressed with last week. I want to just accumulate it and bring it all into one. Boy, your team has a decision to make. And that's the impressive guy that I'm going to go with. And he trumps it all. He trumps it all, and that's Fernando Mendoza. Mendoza. All to the point that this guy is taking first-team reps this week. Clint Kubiak is seeing some things, and yes, Kirk Cousins is going to be the starter, but he's seen some growth in this guy, that he loves football. He's obviously a leader the way he talks. He wants every bit of being on that football field. He eats and sleeps football and getting ready. Fernando Mendoza, outstanding pick, and even if you sit him, and because of safety reasons, and when I'm talking about safety reasons, because they can't protect him, because you're off. Well, I understand it, but he's going to be playing sooner than later. And here you go with the quarterbacks on the hot seat that has a lot to prove. The obvious: Bryce Young. Your went to the playoff last year. Your team won the NFC South. And here it is, that organization did not pick your 5th-year option up. Why? They want you to show them more. Why?
In the doghouse right now with your guy, one last two, Ryan Stewart.
Another year. Those laps in 2 or 3 games that you're having.
Your boy, one last two, Ryan Stewart, having some technical difficulties with Joe Ham right now. He'll reload and he'll come back and be here in a second. But he's mentioning Bryce Young down in Carolina right now and talking about the importance that Bryce Young has when it comes to continuing to take the plane higher. Last year, Bryce Young, especially towards the end of the season, it looked like he figured things out. Last year in the postseason, Bryce Young looked like a quarterback I would want to have on my team. Okay, Joe's back. Okay, Johan, we got some technical difficulties, man, but let's keep working through it.
We'll fight through it.
All right.
We'll make all the
Bryce Young conversations.
Yeah, you were spot on about that. So I need to see one more. I need to see one more years what the GMs in the organization, Dave Canales, the head coach, that's what he's saying. I need one more year of doing what you're doing. So I'm not going to pick up the 5th-year option. If he does, then he's good to go. CJ Stroud. And that's another team. Now I know CJ Stroud was the 3rd overall pick. CJ Stroud has led the Texans to the playoffs 3 out of the 4 seasons. Absolutely. Did not pick up that 5th-year option. Why? Because, man, you regressed a little bit. Did you regress because of Nico Collins? You lost your number 1. Did you regress because of the injuries? I don't know, but that's a team that's ready to play. That's a team that has the top 2, number 1 defense in the whole National Football League. DJ Stingley on the outside. Another very, very Kareem Lassiter, a very, very good corner. And we know about those bookends and Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. We know about that. So, CJ Stroud, they did not pick up your 5th-year option after what you've done for your first 4 years. Wow. And the Houston Texans, Stu, they usually pay those guys.
Right.
If you come up, which Will Anderson just got his money this offseason, if you're coming up on a contract, they don't hesitate. So that's saying we need to see it. We need to see you shake it off and come back like the CJ Stroud we know. This one might be alarming to you a little bit, and this is my 3rd guy that needs to prove something. Justin Herbert. Because if you ask around the league, and even you, I would ask you, Stu, is Justin Herbert a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League? You'd probably say, yeah, top 12, yes, for what he's done, the way he looks apart, all those things being said, I don't want to put anybody in my boat. I give him a lot of excuses. Or he left his left tackle.
Tackles Staley were injured. Right.
Yeah, where's the running game? Where's the defense? No playoff wins at all. Okay, when the big game comes, he shrinks a little bit. Now we have a quarterback and an offensive guru coming to town, and that's in the name of Mike McDaniels. I want you to miss, and everybody miss me with the fact that Mike McDaniels failed in Miami as a head coach. No. Some people or many people are not built or not made to be head coaches. Mike McDaniel knows offensive football, and he can call offensive plays. There would be no excuses for Justin Herbert this season, which he's already paid. You're not going to cut him, but there's going to be no excuses for you not be in the top 10 quarterback conversation if you don't get the Chargers back where they need to be.
You've said so much. You've said so much. Let's go back over a few things that you just mentioned. A lot of people do question Mike McDaniels as a head coach when, in my eyes, he shouldn't be questioned. When you're dealing with Tua, a quarterback that was on the roster when you got the job, when you're dealing with Tua back there, a quarterback who hadn't shown to be the prototypical size, a quarterback that has had ebbs and flows all over the place throughout his career to this point, you can't allow the mistakes of that particular player to allow you to categorize or justify who Mike McDaniels is, in my opinion. Do you agree?
I wholeheartedly agree with you, Stu. And again, we're not talking about Mike McDaniels as the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Right.
We're only talking about him as the OC, which he's a phenomenal OC. Comes from the Mike Shanahan tree, the motions, the shift, the running game. He's going to be able to unlock a lot of those things for Justin Herbert. And one thing he did say, I'm not going to ask Justin Herbert to be a gunslinger. I'm going to ask the running game to take care of itself and for him to be more safe with the football. So there is no excuse when a guru, and I'm not losing that word loosely. Right. A guru, when you're talking about the knowledge of offensive football, that is Mike McDaniel. No doubt of Mike McDaniel. No doubt about it. This will surprise you. Now this is
Go ahead, Joe, please continue.
This will surprise you as you look at those guys that needs big years. But pressure, you mentioned it. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, but none bigger than the Super Bowl MVP 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. None bigger. Mm-hmm. None bigger because he plays in the city of the brotherly love. hate is already among his shoulders, been among his shoulder ever since he stepped in the National Football League. This guy is going on his seventh offensive coordinator. And we're talking about Jalen Hurts now. His seventh offensive coordinator. Some would say that he ran a top 5, number 1, wide receiver out of town because he is not able to get him the ball. He's not able to be creative with his offensive wants, his offensive experience or knowledge, the vast knowledge of doing a lot of different things under center, 3-step drop, 7-step drop, because Jalen Hurts did not want to do that. So now comes in Sean Mannion. What is Jalen Hurts? That's the last line of it. Is it going to be the head coach that's going to go, or there's going to be more fire on Jalen Hurts? If you can't unlock, or this Philadelphia offense cannot be better than it was last year with losing the number 1 wide receiver, who are we going to blame? Because he's going to be asked to do a lot. A lot is going to be on his shoulders this year. And that's why I put a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts, because of the circumstances. Not his body or resume, not being a Super Bowl MVP and a winner and a 2-time guy that going to the Super Bowl. But now that all the hoopla is around the brotherly love, the city of brotherly love, who would they point that finger at this year?
Couple of things. You mentioned a few more things, and I'm trying to get to all of it. But who goes first, in your opinion, for the Philadelphia Eagles? Jalen Hurts is gone after this season, or Coach Sirianni's gone after this season? Take your time. I'm in no rush.
I usually always give you a clear-cut answer, Stu, but I would have to say how the season goes. It's going to be how the season goes. If you struggle offensively like you struggled last year, it's going to be some things rumbling about Jalen Hurts. Is he that guy to get us back there? Because your defense is going to be stout. You have an all-pro in Jalen Carter on the defensive line. You have an all-pro linebacker. You have an all-pro number 27, Quinyon Mitchell, in that secondary. Cooper DeJean, the nickel guy, is an all-world player. That defense is set. So you're looking for that offense to come along. Nick Sirianni, he's an offensive guy. He's going to be on the hot seat if you continue to bring in coordinators after coordinators, and we're going to give him a pass for Kellen Moore, because Kellen Moore won the Super Bowl, and then he got promoted to head coach of the New Orleans Saints, so you didn't necessarily lose him. Shane Steichen, when they went to the Super Bowl, you lost him to the Indianapolis Colts. But other than that, are you picking the right guy to fit Jalen Hurts, or Jalen Hurts can have to be able to do a different scheme? Sean Mannion is coming from a West Coast under center, play action, boot, throwing the ball over the middle a little bit, which they say is not Jalen Hurts' strong suit. Can you develop Jalen Hurts? We're gonna cater this offense to your strengths. But if this can't work, we're gonna have to look at you and say, maybe we can't evolve anymore with you being our starting quarterback. If you win games, but you struggle to win games because your offense is the problem.
Before I pay some more bills, let me get a couple of questions off real quick. You mentioned Jalen Hurts having 6 or 7 different coordinators in his career. How difficult is that for a quarterback? Man. How difficult is that for a quarterback, Joe? I mean, where's the consistency in a player that, or is there any consistency in a player that has to continue to learn throughout the course of the year versus not really knowing throughout the course of the year? I tell people all the time, I love Georgia Tech, but the one thing I did not like about Georgia Tech was that I had a different DB coach and a different defensive coordinator every year of my college career. And yeah, I understood the defense. Yeah, I made plays. Yeah, I knew what I needed to do. But the thought process of having the same defense for 4 years, what kind of player I could have been, blows my mind, because I was literally out there thinking every single snap to make sure that I did the right thing. Now, I don't have as much to think about as the quarterback does. So answer that question. Right. Is that debilitating for a player like Jalen Hurts to have to learn a new offense and new terminology every single year?
Very debilitating, very, very much so. And Stu, take away anything physical. That's where I have to start off. Well, let's start off when we're talking about Jalen Hurts. Let's start off there. And let's say extremely smart. Football IQ is through the roof. These intangibles, the versatility of learning different schemes, that's a big, that deserves a wow. That deserves that. A lot of quarterbacks just cannot do that and play at a high level. This guy's played at a high level each and every year, and going into the offseason, not being able to. This is what Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and some of the greats, okay? This is what they do. They look at their notebook, that the notes they have accumulated through the years with one offensive coordinator, and they review it. They go back on film, and they're able to watch the offseason film and say, this is the call that we ran. Oh, this is the play that I'm going to go back and I'm going to call it in my head, knowing what's about to be ran, and I'm going to look at a defense, and I'm going to simulate what my head coach, my offensive coordinator might call in this situation. He's never had the opportunity to go back and watch a season of his mess ups and mistakes on the same offense. He's never had the ability to go back and say, let me check out my notes that I took in preseason camp and carry throughout the season. Let me review that, because he's always got to rip that out and start anew. Right. Very difficult. And by the way, he's doing it again.
And I hope he has success. I love him to death. He's
unbelievable.
He's already proven that he can win. Next thing before we go pay some bills, Joe, we mentioned the Los Angeles Chargers a little while ago. Will that team experience a Big Johnson contest? Because we've heard head coach Harbaugh talk about his love for Justin Herbert, and we've heard Mike McDaniels come in there and talk about his love for Justin Herbert. Will we see the offensive coordinator in McDaniels and the head coach in Harbaugh butt any heads with what's being called for Justin Herbert?
No, sir, not at all. Not at all. Because I have to respect Jim Harbaugh as being a former quarterback, and he's going to be able to call audibles. It's not going to be his way or the highway. That's what that preseason, that's what that interview was all about. That's when we don't know about, when Jim Harbaugh brought McDaniels in to put him on the chalkboard, to watch film, to talk philosophy, to talk game planning, to talk run game, pass game concepts. That's where they butt heads. That's where they said, will this be a conflict? And I don't think that Jim Harbaugh is going to allow Mike McDaniels to come in and use his toolbox. He's not that type of guy. The worst thing that you want to have, and I'm sure that Mike McDaniels coming from where he came, was his number one question to Jim Harbaugh. Will you allow me to be able to implement my offense like I've done in Miami? Or will you have me trying to streamline a little bit of what y'all did in the past? Yes, I'll keep some of the great things that Justin Herbert likes doing. I'll keep some of the philosophies the same, but allow me to bring my toolbox that I'm familiar with and spend 8-9 hours a day with Justin Herbert for he and I to be on the same page. It's more important for me and Justin Herbert to be on the same page than Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh.
And
I think that's communicated between those guys.
One more before we go pay the bills. One more, okay?
I love it. I love it.
You keep making me go back to the notes and write things down that I want to talk about. We mentioned Mendoza a little while ago, and I have him on my list of top 10 quarterbacks from preseason number 1. From preseason week number 1, I have him listed at number 10, and I'll get into that list with you here shortly. What's better for the maturation process for Mendoza? Has he shown you the capacity to possibly be the starter? Or in my eyes, should they sit him regardless of how good he's playing and let him get a month or two under his belt watching Kirk Cousins if Kirk Cousins is healthy enough to play? Should he be sat at all? Or do you think it's better to baptize him by fire and let him start right now?
He should be sat because the GM is going to have to answer to the owner. You don't go out and pay Kirk Cousins that type of money and don't and not at least give him a chance. That's wasted, blown money. I know the owners are not searching for money. They're not in need of money, but that's not a good business model. That's not a good business plan for you to go out and pay all that money. And keep in mind, we don't talk about this enough. You may have, but I don't. You know who's in the building, my brother? My brother, Tom Brady's in the building.
Tom Brady, yeah.
Tom in the building. So Tom Brady is not going to allow them to make a mistake. It's different scenarios of why Tom Brady had to sit and learn, because that's a 6th-round draft pick, and Mendoza was the number 1 overall pick. So there's different money and expectations. So that's not apples to apples. However, he knows that this guy can get shell-shocked. And if it's a safety reason, Stu, if it's a reason that we can't protect Mendoza, you hold him at bay. But there's a first quarter of the season. There's something I call before Thanksgiving. There's something I call if you out of the division race and if you out of the playoff race and that the offense is stalling. And every single day, Stu, you've played this game at a high level. If you're sitting there as a DB and you're seeing Mendoza light everything up week after week after week on this, throwing missiles, getting better, you're gonna be, and you're losing games. You're going to be like, what are we doing here?
What are we doing?
They're not playing the best player. So it's going to come from within. And I think right now you do start Kirk Cousins, and I wouldn't say he's on a short leash. If you start Kirk Cousins, yes, and you are winning, Mendoza, preferably sit the entire season. But the minute it's a 3-game stretch or you're out of the realm of going to the playoffs, Mendoza, here we come. And he is coming. He looks good, brother.
As a Raider fan, I like to hear that. And as a Raider fan, I would really love for Mendoza to sit, but I agree with you 100%. If Cousins is in there and he's not moving my meter, and I keep looking at Mendoza in practices, dropping bombs and having control of the huddle and making checks and stuff at the line of scrimmage, it's going to be hard to keep him on the bench. You're going to want to start getting some victories and some playing time under his belt if he's showing you that he may be the guy for the future during practices when it comes to this upcoming season.
Yeah, one more quick point before we pay the bills, Stu. I want guys to miss me with the Pat Mahomes and sitting his first year. And here's why I want guys to miss me. Because Alex Smith had an outstanding year that year. Alex Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs went to the playoffs. There were no reason to bench or to sit Alex Smith. And Andy Reid and that staff knew what they had in Patrick Mahomes. If they needed to start or needed to play Patrick Mahomes, they would have played him. He didn't just come out of nowhere to win the MVP his second year. They knew they drafted a franchise player. But Alex Smith won, the team was doing well, and they went to the playoffs, so you had the luxury of sitting him. If the Las Vegas Raiders have the luxury of sitting Mendoza, that is the best situation. Only if you have the luxury.
I love it. I love it. We're going to pay some bills, and when we get back on the other side, we'll get into preseason week number 1's outstanding quarterback performances in my eyes. And I got 1 or 2 more questions for Joe, too. It's the 2 Live Stews pop-up with your boy, 1 Live Stew, Ryan Stewart, and my man, Joe Hamilton. We'll pay some bills, and we'll be right back. Y'all keep it locked. It's your guys, the 2 Live Stews, and today's show is brought to you by Black Eden 1912 Bourbon, a premium bourbon inspired by the historic legacy of Idlewild, Michigan, known as Black Eden.
So whether you're celebrating a victory or raising a glass with friends, experience Black Eden 1912, a taste of history.
We always hooking y'all up. As a listener of the 2 Live Stews, enjoy $20 off of your online purchase by visiting blackeden1912.com/2 Live Stews and using the promo code 2 Live Stews when you get to checkout.
That's blackeden1912.com/2 Live Stews and promo code 2 Live Stews to claim your exclusive offer and experience a taste of history.
Welcome back to you guys, the 2 Live Stews. I'm 1 Live Stew, Ryan Stewart, joined by none other than the Heisman runner-up himself, Mr. Joseph Hamilton, in the building with you guys, the 2 Live Stews. Shouts out to everyone that has logged on to getgn.shop. Again, that's getgn.shop. Joe and I both are in our 50s now. You 50 right now, right, Joe? No, you're not 50 yet. You what, 48, 49?
No, sir. I'm 49. I'm a young chick, young Chuck, young buck.
Well,
I'm 49
as you get
years
older,
of age. Turned there March 13th.
as you get a little older, you see and realize that you need a little bit of help from time to time to get some things done, especially when it comes to making sure that you've got all the right nutrients and vitamins in your body. Make sure you check out getgn.shop to make sure you're putting the right things in your body. That's getgn.shop. And shouts out to the beautiful people at Black Eden. Black Eden is a company that sponsors the Two Live Stews. And today's pop-up show is brought to you by the wonderful people at Black Eden 1912 Bourbon. As a listener of the Two Live Stews, you can go to blackeden1912.com/Two Live Stews and use the promo code Two Live Stews at checkout to get $20 off your online purchase. Again, go to blackeden1912.com/Two Live Stews, put in Two Live Stews at checkout, and that'll allow you to get $20 off of your complete order. I mentioned it before we went to pay the bills, Joe. I want to get your thoughts on this. There were a lot of every team played last week in preseason week number 1 after Thursday's Hall of Fame game, which was absolutely phenomenal. You and I have spoken about that.
Phenomenal.
Last week I had Fernando Mendoza at 10 on my quarterback list when it comes to top 10 quarterback performers. All right. He went 10 for 16, 97 yards and threw a TD and made a red zone error, as you said, but came back in there and he was really efficient and effective. I had the 49ers Curtis Rourke, who went 12 for 14 with 101 yards at number 9. I had Cowboys Joe Milton III, who had a quarterback passer rating of 118.6 in the Cowboys game. I had Zach Wilson, former Jet, now current Saint, on my list at number 7. He had a quarterback rating of 118 in his preseason game. At 6, I had Jacoby Brissett, 5 for 5, 44 yards, 1 TD. Minshew came in, and as is the 2-year veteran at that quarterback position, he started the game and went 15 for 15 with 3 TD passes. No, I'm sorry. I did mention Jacoby Brissett. Yes. Let me make sure I'm doing this right, Joe. Minshew came in and had an outstanding game, but I want to give Jacoby Brissett that 6th spot after going 5 for 5 for 44 yards. Now we'll move from 6 that I had a hard time getting out and go to number 5. Jarrett Stidham, who literally picked the Atlanta Falcons apart. He had 131 yards. Final score in that game was 27-7. Stidham looked absolutely outstanding. Also threw for a touchdown. And 4th, before we get to the final 3 that I want to focus on, was Joe Fagano with the Ravens. He's undrafted. He's a rookie, and he stepped in there and threw for 224 yards. Before I get to the final 3, please share your thoughts on 10 through 4, Joe.
Well, 10 through 4, what's going to stand out to me is Zach Wilson. Okay. That's going to stand out to me because immediately I go to Baker Mayfield. Immediately I go to Sam Darnold, former top 5 overall pick. He's been a journeyman in the league. Has been written off by a lot of different head coaches, a lot of different GMs. And all of a sudden, who are you getting touched by? You're getting touched by a former quarterback in the NFL and Kellen Moore. You don't have to come in and play right away, but you have to show that you can be an NFL quarterback. Maybe your study habits, maybe your footwork, maybe your decision-making, being on the sideline and learning and being taught the game of football. I'm also intrigued about Jarrett Stidham because he's a backup that came in and I wouldn't say he wet down his pants in the AFC Championship game, but he didn't do enough. So it makes me think, and one more about the top 6. I mean, the bottom 6.
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett. It's the preseason, Stu. I know it's the preseason, but Carson Beck had a hell of an opener. He had a hell of a preseason number 1. And to me, I even said, Jacoby, you better watch out. Or Jacoby, you better play well because this rookie is coming along. He shook it off. What did he do? Lead those guys to a touchdown drive with 5 for 5 and said, hey, this is still my job. Back off, Rook. You still have a long way to go. I love that. And before you go to those top 3, I would like to say this or get your opinion on this, Stu. What do you want in your backup quarterback? See, I don't want to. I mean, normally you don't think of your starting quarterback missing the entire season. That's something when something goes very, very wrong, knock on wood, you don't want that to happen. But what if your quarterback gets banged up, falls on his shoulder, and he has to be out maybe 2 or 3 weeks, or a high ankle sprain where he has to miss 4 games? Can your backup quarterback be competent enough to go 2-2? Or if you're just playing 2 games, 1-1,
Right.
you don't necessarily want him to go undefeated. Yeah. Can he split? Can he hold the fork down until that quarterback comes back? Or is when that guy goes down, then your season is in a shamble? You want your quarterback like a Stidham to be able to hold the fork, maybe Zach Wilson, maybe a Jacoby Brissett before he got named the number 1 starter, just to hold it down until our starter comes back.
That's 4 through 10, Joe. The top 3 for me, Drew Aller from the Steelers. I want to talk about him briefly. Gardner Minshew, as we mentioned a second ago while talking about Brissett, Gardner Minshew came in that thing and went 10 for 10, 79 yards and threw 2 touchdowns. And again, he's no greenhorn when it comes to being on the football field on a Sunday. We've seen him with several opportunities, and he's done a fairly good job. And at number 1, Joe, going 21 for 25, 190 yards, and 2 touchdowns. In the first start of his NFL career, Bama's Ty Simpson came in and looked freaking phenomenal. Please share your thoughts, and let's start with Drew Aller. Is there anywhere in the world where the Pittsburgh Steelers say, I know we signed Aaron Rodgers, and this is Aaron Rodgers' farewell tour, but after what we're seeing out of Drew Aller, maybe we need to let him get the start so this team can have some more life? Am I off my rocker for thinking that? Or is there no way in the world Drew Aller will be starting over Aaron Rodgers when week 1 rolls around for this NFL season?
Yeah, you're off your rockers. You can get back on, though. you can get back on, but yeah, you're off your rockers.
He looks so good, Joe.
He looks good. And remember, he played football up there in Pennsylvania. He played football at Penn State. Cold weather would not be a problem. He ran a somewhat sophisticated offense. He's big. He's strong. What you have is you may have your replacement. You may solve the problem that you've had since Ben Roethlisberger left. Mm-hmm. Now, I know Aaron Rodgers, this is going on his second stint as the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you're saying this is still a Hall of Famer, but I have to say this is still a stopgap quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he's a very good stopgap quarterback. There's no doubt about that, but he's not your future. He's not your future. You would have a better team with Aaron Rodgers than you would have Drew Aller. However, Stu, I'm going to treat Aaron Rodgers the same way I'm going to treat Kirk Cousins. If the Pittsburgh Steelers in that tough division with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns, defensively Cleveland Browns, and the Baltimore Ravens, are you out of that mix? And this season is looking like it's going downhill. Why continue to have that farewell tour with Aaron Rodgers when Drew Aller has continued to play good football? And because you can get his feet wet 6 games, 7 games at the end of the season to where he's not going into the next season as a rookie type quarterback. He's going into the other season with NFL experience. That would be the recipe. Yes, you might have your starting quarterback for the future, Drew Aller, if you continue to groom him. And if Aaron Rodgers teaches this guy the way he's going to be able to teach him and mentor that guy, maybe they have stumbled up on their franchise quarterback because, to your point, he did look comfortable and amazing.
Two Live Stews, pop up, Joe Hamilton, Ryan Stewart, Gardner Minshew. It blows my mind, Joe, how the Cardinals shake down Kyler Murray. He goes to Minnesota, gets named the starter a few days ago. Okay, so now he's out of Arizona and he's now starting in Minnesota. But in his absence, while being the new starter that's been designated in Minnesota, Gardner Minshew comes in and, in my eyes, creates a huge problem for Arizona, which is a good problem to have. They went from a quarterback that they don't want in Kyler Murray to 3 quarterbacks that look like they want the damn job and deserve it. Carson Beck looked phenomenal in week 1, got a little dinged up and a little banged up and didn't play and hadn't played. Gardner Minshew comes in. Jacoby Brissett comes in. Both of them have flawless games, going 10 for 10 in Minshew, 4 for 4 with Brissett. I know it's a good problem to have, but
yeah,
he's ultimately going to be the third string quarterback when it comes to guard Minshew, correct?
Or somebody's going to come and pick him up, okay, to be their backup.
Very good.
All right, so he's a guy that reminds me, Stu, of Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's able and capable of playing 12 to 14 games a season. He's more than capable of taking your team, if you have something happens to your starting quarterback, taking that team, if they have defense in play and skill positions in play, to taking that team to the playoffs. That's who he is. This is not surprising to me about Gardner Minshew. He's a veteran. He's played a lot of football. He knows the game. So he is going to be the third string, yes, at the Cardinals, or somebody come trade deadline, or if something happens to a starter or a backup during the season, he's going to be trade bait. But he's going to be in the NFL for a long, long time because that's just what I said. Can you win me? Is it a big drop-off for my starter? Is our season lost because our starter went down? Or can Minshew come in or, go 2-0, maybe go 3-1 and hold a fork down till the starter comes back? Very impressed, but not surprised at all about Gardner Minshew.
And let's wrap this thing up and talking about the top 10 in my humble eyes from preseason week number 1. Ty Simpson came in and went 21 for 25, 190 yards, and threw 2 TDs and didn't do many things wrong. Ty Simpson came in there. We know he's a big guy. We know he's got a strong arm, and we know he played winning football in Alabama. He came in there and looked like he wasn't a deer in headlights with the big moment that he had with the Los Angeles Rams. We know McVay's somewhat of a quarterback guru. We know this team offensively and defensively have pieces and parts of the puzzle all over the place that can allow this team to have success. Please share your thoughts on what you saw in week 1 during the preseason, of course, from Ty Simpson.
Prototypical football NFL quarterback. Mobility, arm strength, different levels, able to run that West Coast motion, waggles, drop back game, zone play action to the best, with the best of them. And let's remember, it's almost like what Sean Payton did with Bo Nix. Handpicked. Bo Nix came out of nowhere to be a top 12 pick, out of nowhere. Why? Because Sean Payton targeted him. Sean Payton said, this is the guy that I want running my skill, my team, my offense with his skill set. Same with Ty Simpson. Everybody had Ty Simpson late first round to second round draft pick other than Dan Orlovsky. And I love Dan Orlovsky. He was right on that. He was spot on with this one because of what he did with Alabama in a no running game with a beat up offensive line. Stetson Bennett had better be very, very careful. Stetson Bennett has been in his offense for 3 years in Sean McVay, so he knows the offense a little better. But his skill set who will Sean McVay trust backing up Matthew Stafford? Because I bring that up because you remember last season Matthew Stafford didn't practice for a long time in the preseason because of his back. Matthew Stafford did play 17 games in the regular season, but you never know with his age what's going to happen. Who are you going to trust in that 1 or 2 games if Matthew Stafford gets banged up? Is it going to be Stetson Bennett, who has not started an NFL game but has started some preseason games? Or is it going to be Ty Simpson, an up-and-coming rookie who you're developing that showed a lot of promise? Who's going to win that backup quarterback spot is another battle within a battle in the preseason, which I love.
I hate everything Georgia, but Stetson Bennett did step in and go 4 for 6, 66 completion percentage, and threw for 38 yards. Didn't have any interceptions, didn't have any sacks, didn't fumble any balls. He played extremely well, but again, the young rookie who is going to be blessed to be able to sit and learn from another Bulldog, Matthew Stafford. Simpson really, really looked good. And it's a reason why Sean McVay has had success with the Rams. Of course, he's a Super Bowl winning coach already. But it's huge to see how he could have had another first-round talent that would help in this team offensively and or defensively this upcoming season, but spent that pick on Ty Simpson, again, who people thought would be late in the first, maybe even a second-round pick. And he stepped out there and just looked phenomenal. Shouts out to Sean McVay for knowing what he's doing when it comes to running that damn franchise.
Oh my God! Shout out to Sean McVay, and you said you had to give Stetson Bennett a little bit of credit, rightfully so, Stu, with 4 for 6 and what he did when he got in there. However, they've seen Stetson Bennett; they know what he is.
That's true.
Okay, and if Stetson Bennett was a guy that could replace Matthew Stafford, there would be no need to draft Ty Simpson that early. If you thought you had somebody in the stable to be able to replace Matthew Stafford. Well, he could be a good backup. They wanted somebody better. And you said Sean McVay, and I want to give a shout out to Les Snead. This is a conversation for a different day, but I would like to just bring this to your attention, Stu. Everything that doesn't have to be done through the draft. That guy, Les Snead, upgraded this team, made moves, drafted a quarterback, and was able to draft a quarterback to sit. He was able to draft a quarterback in the top 15, all right, Stu, to sit. So essentially, you wasted a draft pick this year to sit. And oh, by the way, what'd you do? You upgraded your team. You went and signed 2 quarterbacks and cornerbacks, and Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watkins from the Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl winners. All right, you went and you traded for Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year, a true Hall of Famer. You might be on the cusp of getting Aaron Donald back, which would fall in your lap, but you sat there and spent a first-round, top 15 pick on a quarterback that's not going to be utilized, and you upgraded. Come on, man. So that's why when we put all our things in this draft and who do they draft and develop, we're going to take a step back. If you have a good GM or general manager that knows his team and knows the window, whether it's open to make moves or whether it's closing that you have to rebuild, that's when you get a general manager that knows what he's doing. He didn't need those draft picks to say for this team to help this year. He went out in the free agent market to get it done. Outstanding.
Got to get out of here, Joe, but before we do, man.
Yes, sir.
Please give me your thoughts on Baker Mayfield literally betting on himself. I heard that there may have been a deal on the table for him for like $50 million for a year or two, so it could have been like a 2-year deal, $100 million, but he wants a longer deal. Give me your take and your thoughts on the Baker Mayfield situation down there in Tampa Bay.
I love Baker Mayfield and his stance, and he hates the way how he's been treated and what he's been promised. To be a franchise quarterback, you don't set him up for 2 years, 3 years. You sign him to at least 5 years in a big deal. The AAA.
Just lost Joe Hamilton. I couldn't agree with him more. Baker's one of those guys that has always been forced to show his worth. You know, I mean, ever since being drafted, I believe he was number 1 overall. Ever since being drafted number 1 overall, Baker Mayfield has a Heisman Trophy winner. He's competed, and he's been the reason why teams have won. He's been the reason why teams have had success. We got Joe Ham back. Okay, Joe, please continue your Baker Mayfield take.
Yeah, he's been an underdog all his life. And that's a chip on his shoulder. And what I love about him betting on himself this go around, the AAV, the average annual value of his salary, would have been up to par with the top 15 quarterbacks. But it was the amount of years that you didn't trust me with. And Baker Mayfield cut it off. Baker Mayfield said, I'm not going to go in this and I'm going to the back and forth and being a distraction. Maybe during the season that I'm playing well, you want to talk to my agent and say, well, he's playing well enough. Let's go sign him. I'm going to cut this off to where I'm going to have the leverage. If you want me to prove and tell again, which I've made the playoffs 3 of my 4 seasons, if I have to do that again, I will, but it's going to cost you. And it might cost you more because I'm not going to allow you to franchise tag me anyway, but I'm going to remember how you treated me, and I'm missing out on a year. I'm missing out on a year of being able to, to maximize on my ability to maximize because you guys are playing wait and see. What are you waiting and seeing about? What else do I have to do? So there you're going to lowball me and not trust me. I'm going to say, let's cut this off and let me show you again.
Let's say you were the general manager running the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What would you have done when it comes to your quarterback situation this season?
I I would reward Baker Mayfield for what he's done for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Coming after Tom Brady is no easy feat. Being able to galvanize the entire offense and being a leader of that team, everybody loves. I would have paid him not only for what he's done but he's young and what he's going to do. I can't fathom what is negative about signing Baker Mayfield to a long-term deal. What don't you trust? So for me as a GM, I just don't get it.
Yeah,
I hear it in your voice, Stu, and I hear it in your rebuttal.
Right.
This is what I hear in your voice, and this is what I hear in your rebuttal. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
I hear Cleveland. I hear that, maybe turnover machine. But what I don't hear is Dave Canales. That's Baker Mayfield calls him to get that head coaching job in the Carolina Panthers. Yep. I don't hear your boy out in Jacksonville, Cohen. Baker Mayfield was the guy that allowed him to get a head coaching job because of the offensive job he did as a quarterback, and those coordinators was able to expand and go elsewhere. That's because of Baker Mayfield. I want to always try to put on the bottom or the back burner what quarterbacks did before. And can you ever overcome that stereotype? Mm-hmm. I don't want you to bring in too many things about what Baker can't do or did in the past. What has he done the last 3 or 4 years?
I'm a numbers guy, and you know that. Doug and I argue it every single day just about. I'm a numbers guy, and I use my numbers more so than I use my eyes when it comes to the eye test. But when I hear Matthew Stafford, I don't look at Baker Mayfield and see him as an equal or better. When I hear Jared Goff, I don't look at Baker Mayfield as an equal or better. When I hear Dak Prescott, and we didn't talk Cowboys today, when I hear Dak Prescott, I don't look at Baker Mayfield as an equal or better. The same for Sam Darnold, Caleb Williams, and Justin Herbert.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Sam Darnold.
I see a much. Well, the guy just won a freaking Super Bowl, Joe.
Yeah,
he just won a Super Bowl.
I understand that. What about Trevor Lawrence?
Well, I didn't say Trevor Lawrence.
No, but I'm saying these are the guys that's paid. These are the guys that got their money.
I would prefer Baker Mayfield over Trevor Lawrence.
And the guys, and I'm not bumping for Baker Mayfield being a top 12 quarterback, but in the guys that you mentioned, rightfully so. Okay, rightfully so.
Jordan Love. How about Jordan Love? If you got Jordan Love on one side on the scale and Baker Mayfield on the other, which way does that scale tip? Towards Jordan Love or towards Baker Mayfield?
Slightly towards Jordan Love. Slightly.
See, that's the I agree. And that's the problem I have with Baker Mayfield and him not getting a $250 million deal.
No, it wasn't about that, though, Stu. That's what I was trying to explain. It wasn't about that. It wasn't about busting the bank because he was happy. He and his agent was happy with the average a year.
Right,
they were very happy with that.
Right,
but not the numbers.
But again, I don't want to sign him to 5 years because of his body of work. And it's been decent. It's been good, but we just talked about 8 to 10 other guys that are making top dollar that we would prefer more so than Baker. So if that's the case, then why give him a 5-year deal? Why not say, let's reset this thing and go in a different direction?
Man, I got you. I got you. But
it's a lot to think. It's a lot to think about.
You're not doing the last 3 years numbers as far as the top quarterbacks. If you're a numbers guy, you're talking name more than numbers. Some of the guys that you mentioned, you're talking names more than numbers. Sam Darnold, although he won a Super Bowl, he doesn't have better numbers than Baker Mayfield in the last 3 years.
Hold on, Joe. You're stuck on this Sam Darnold thing. Not only did he just win a Super Bowl, but he damn near went undefeated the year before with Minnesota. He was why they had success. And without Sam Darnold, you saw what happened to Minnesota last year. They were terrible. They had to make a move to get another quarterback. So I know it took Sam Darnold some time to come into his own, but he has come into his own, and I would much rather him more so than Baker, especially when you talk about prototypical size, I would much rather Sam Darnold over Baker Mayfield.
Oh, okay, no problem. I'm just talking about his value, and I didn't want to compare. I'm just talking about his value. Daniel Jones. This guy is a starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that's won 3 division titles. I'm just talking his worth. And they're not necessarily compared to the top 10 guys, which you're absolutely right. I will take Sam Darnold as well over Baker Mayfield. I'm not disputing that. I'm just disputing the money and the value and what he's done for the Bucks. It seems like they're doing on that, them in particular. It seems like they're taking that for granted, and they're in a position that they would have their starting quarterback like they can go on. So I'm not putting the Bucks in a bad situation. What happens if Baker Mayfield have the same type of year and is a hot commodity free agent and he chooses to go elsewhere? You think you can plug and play any quarterback in your system, Bucks? That's where I'm looking at. You think it's one of those situations that you can plug and play and you can find you a Baker Mayfield on the market? That's what you're gambling with. That's why I'm saying when you ask that question as a GM, what would I do with Baker Mayfield? I'm going to be like a bird in the hand is better than one in the bush at the end of the season, because if he's going to, and we know about this with Baker Mayfield, he loves gambling on himself. But that chip on his shoulder, we can all say, or we can somewhat bet on him going to have a pretty good season because against the wall in a contract year.
Right. Always injured. I just don't know about giving him a 5-year deal for $45 to $50 million a year. It concerns me, but you're right. I'm not going to act like you're not right. I agree with you. He has come through. He's why they've won the division. He's why they've been in the postseason, even though he's played injured and played beat up. He's a quarterback that you want to have on your side. But again, when it comes to possibly breaking this man off for $200 million, $250 million for 5 years, I just don't know how comfortable a GM or a head coach can be when it comes to Bowles and Snead down there in Tampa Bay.
I think you do respect the quarterback position. There's no doubt about that.
I respect it.
But boy, when you don't have one, boy,
it changes everything.
That's all.
Like right now, if Baker, I'm not going to wood. Okay, no, I don't want to put this on. Right now, if Baker says, you know what, I've changed my mind, I'm not playing this year until y'all give me the deal I want. If he did that right now, the Bucks would be screwed this upcoming season. There would be nothing they could do.
And let's tie this back. I love that you brought this up, and I know we're gonna get out of here. I love the fact that you brought this up, Stu. So let's tie this in back to backup quarterbacks. If that was the situation, that's where I would call up Minshew's agent. You know what I mean? So
this is called a callback, Joe, where you use something that we're talking about currently, and you go back to something we talked about prior to this moment right here. This is an excellent callback. Please continue.
Yes, so there's one of those situations. It might cost you a late round draft pick. It might cost you something. But if this team is in play with you got Godwin and you got Ibuka on the outside, you got a running game, you got a really good offensive line in Tampa. If it's set up that way, and if Baker Mayfield, you don't want to pay him, and you say, hey, go ahead and sit out, we'll be all right. That's when you call Gardner Minshew. That's when you call over there to Arizona and say, hey, man, we want this guy. What is it going to take? And, oh, by the way, it would not surprise me, like we said a little earlier, if Minshew takes that team to a playoff, because that's the type of guy that he is.
Your boy One Live Stu, Ryan Stewart, your boy Joe Hamilton, runner-up to the Heisman, Hall of Famer on every state he's been a part of. You know, he played ball in Florida. Played ball in South Carolina, and in every state he's ever played ball in, they put him in the Hall of Fame. That's how damn good he was. Outstanding job today, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And honestly,
thank you, brother.
Honestly, man, I see this happening again sometime this weekend. There's only 2 days left to maybe get into some stuff that's coming up this upcoming weekend. The games just, and we talked about this off air on one of our calls. For some reason, I just feel like preseason matters more these days than they have in the past. And you reminded me a few weeks ago that, there's not 4 games anymore. It's just 3. And that may be why the level of importance was heightened. But I watched a lot of preseason football last weekend, and it didn't matter that the starters were not in. It was still compelling football, and I really enjoyed that.
Really enjoyed it. And again, we're going to talk about this, whether it's on the phone or whether it's going to be a pop-up. I hope Todd Monken, Coach Monken, doesn't do Shedeur Sanders like he's leaning towards doing. And what I'm talking about, he's going to start him, but he's leaning towards not starting the starters.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fair.
That wouldn't look. No, it wouldn't seem fair on the surface.
And also, if that was to happen, Joe, as we get ready to get out of here for real this time, if that was to happen, it's all because of the economics of the game, and you paying this guy $46 million this year that's guaranteed. You got to try to get your money worth out of him. And that's got to be what it is. Maybe he's not getting a fair shake this year because maybe Monken and crew believe in him and want him to sit and learn like a rookie would. But you're paying Deshaun 46, whether he plays or not. At the end of the day, maybe you got to just put him out there to see if you can stretch your dollar.
Amen. and he's football. So it's not like he's thinking it up and you're doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, so
All right, we're going to get out of here with that. Shouts out to my man Joe Ham. We appreciate it. Tiffany Poodles in Portland, thank you for being here, sweetheart. Love you so much. Always good to see you. Ben Edwards, thank you very much, man. Aggie Pride in the building, Griff. I don't care what Doug says. Aggie Pride in the building, Griff. Sean Mims, bless you, sir. Thank you for being a super chatter on a Stu's pop-up. MCA 1800, we appreciate you as well. Make sure Terry Clark. Rhett Jackson, my man Rhett, good to see you, player. 52V, Easton, shouts out to you. Carrie Portis, all y'all, man. Thank y'all for being here. Tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, it will be the 2 Live Stews. Let me let Joe say bye before you get out of here. Tell the people bye, Joe.
hey, great tuning in. Love it. Absolutely love it. Little audibles had to be dealt with, but we got through it, no doubt about it.
Okay. Yeah. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. If you don't know him, you need to find him and show him love, because that's all he's showing you, nothing but love. Peace and blessings, y'all.
Nobody wins when y'all out here wildin'. Your mama crying, they mama crying.